Today I'm going to read a book from the Bible Belle's The Adventures of Rooney Cruz, and the book's called Ruth, the Belle of Loyalty, and it's written by Wiedemann and illustrated by Megan Crisp. It's an interesting book about Ruth in the Bible, and so we're going to read what happened to Ruth. She was quite a lady. I can't believe it. This cannot be happening. It's okay, Danny. Don't cry, Rooney said, held her arms out, but it was no use. Danny was bouncing angrily around the girl's bathroom. Her eyes were red and swollen. No, it's not okay. How can you say that? Danny pressed her hands against her face and sobbed, as you can see her right there, closing. How could my mom and dad not love each other anymore? My dad's moving out. Where am I even going to live? Rooney's eyes filled with tears. Dear God, she thought, please help my friend. Hey, slow down. Let's pray about it, Rooney said gently, squeezing the golden bells on her bracelet. I don't want to pray with you right now. That's not going to do anything. Danny glared at her. Rooney lowered her head. I only meant... just leave me alone, Danny said, backing away. You're making it worse. I don't want your help. All of a sudden, the bathroom door flung open. There was Kylie and Maddie standing in the hallway. Oh no, Rooney thought in a panic. What are you two doing here? What's all this about? Maddie laughed. Why don't you just leave her alone, Rooney? Yeah, Kylie agreed. Let her breathe. Hey, Danny, why don't you come with us? Rooney stared at Danny. I was only trying to help. Danny shook her head. Then she turned and followed the girls out the door. Rooney stood there alone. She clutched her fists. She tried to take in a deep breath, but she couldn't. Her face felt hot like it was on fire. She marched to the closest stall and slammed the door shut. Rooney heard a familiar noise. She lifted her head. Mari! Rooney saw a flickering light reflecting off the tile. I'm here, she heard Mari say. Come out here. Let's talk. Rooney shook her head. I don't want to come out. Did you see what Danny did? She just left with Kylie and Maddie. How could she walk away like that? I was only trying to help. She gritted her teeth. If that's how she wants to be, then fine. We won't be friends anymore. Mari tapped the door gently. Come on out of there. Come on out of there. Rooney wiped her eyes. She pushed open the door. The angel was waiting for her, hovering in the air. This is going to be hard for you to hear, Mari said as she flew down and squeezed Rooney's shoulder. This isn't about you. It's about Danny. Her? Rooney narrowed her eyes. She's the one who was mean and left, not me. I was trying to help her and she just walked out. She should come back and say she's sorry. Well, it's not really about that either, Mari held out her tiny hand. Danny needs a true friend, and that's you, whether you want to be or not. How? Rooney wanted to understand, but her feelings were hurt. Putting the needs of others before our own can be really hard sometimes. Mari hugged her. It's time for you to meet Ruth. Rooney reached for her bracelet. Is she a Bible Belle, too? Mari smiled. Yes, and her power is the one you need right now. Are you ready? Mari flew close to the wall. She waved her hands over one of the mirrors. The glass began to ripple, and suddenly the reflection was gone. In place was a wide wooden window. Take a look. Ruth 1. Sit down there, Mari pointed to an older. See down there, Mari pointed to an older man walking with his wife. There were two young men following close behind. Rooney watched the family walk slowly across a long stretch of land. Is that Ruth? Mari shook her head. No, that's Naomi. She's married to Amalek, and those are her two sons, Malin and Keelan. They left their home in Bethlehem because of a great famine. A famine? Rooney scratched her head. It's when there isn't enough food for people to eat, Mari explained. They're going to another town called Moab to see if they can find food and live there together. So they're walking and walking. They didn't have any animals to take with them. They went there all alone. Mari nudged the window. Rooney could see Naomi and her two sons through the window of the little house. They were kneeling down together and they were crying. Oh no, Rooney bit her lip. Mari, what happened? While they were living in Moab, Naomi's husband died, Mari explained. I can't believe my husband is gone, Rooney heard Naomi cry. What am I going to do? Rooney closed her eyes. She squeezed the window frame tightly. God, she thought, this is terrible. She must be so sad and lonely. How could this happen? So now she has two sons, and they have two wives. When Rooney opened her eyes, she could see the family inside the house. Two young women were with them. After her husband died, Naomi and her sons stayed in Moab. The boys married two young women from the town. That's Orpha. Mari motioned to a woman in a faded red robe, carrying a small plate of fruit. And that's Ruth. Mari pointed to the woman in the beautiful blue robe. She moved gracefully across the room to fill a pitcher with water. Rooney watched them for a while. Maybe things will be better for them now. Well, they lived together for almost 10 years. Mari lowered her head. Then Naomi's sons died too. Rooney shook her head. No. Just look at them. They're happy, but now their husbands passed away. Mari bumped the window. Rooney could see Naomi, Orpha, and Ruth sitting inside the house. My daughters, my husband is gone and my sons are dead. Rooney listened as Naomi spoke, her voice shaking. There is no life for me here. Go back to your families. I will return to my home in Bethlehem. Tears rolled down Rooney's cheeks. Mari, why is she sending them away? Her heart is broken, Mari said softly. We will come with you, Ruth answered. Orpha agreed. Yes, we will go back with you to your people. Rooney watched Naomi, Ruth, and Orpha pack up their belongings. She smiled as the three women set out on the road that would take them back to Naomi's home. They walked for a while, then suddenly Naomi stopped. Go back, she said, trembling. Both of you, go back to your home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your husbands and to me. Do not come with me. Naomi covered her face with her hands. Go home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could be your husbands? Life for me is more bitter than I could have ever imagined. The Lord's hand has turned against me." The three women cried together. Then Rooney watched Orpha stand up and kiss her mother-in-law. "Goodbye," she whispered. Then she turned and started back toward the town. Rooney squeezed her eyes shut. "God," she thought, "how can she just leave like that? Naomi's family is gone and she feels so alone." Rooney held her eyes closed for a moment. Then she opened them. She saw Ruth. She had her arms wrapped around Naomi, holding her gently. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people. You can go too." Ruth placed her hands on Naomi's hands. She looked into Naomi's eyes. "Please," she said softly, "don't send me away. I will not turn my back on you." Now, she isn't going to turn her back on her. Let's see what she does. Rooney grabbed the window. She listened as Ruth spoke. "No matter what happens, I will not leave you. Where you go, I will go. Wherever you stay, I will stay with you. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May God punish me if I let anything but death separate you and me." What a statement was that. But how? Rooney looked back through the window. Ruth and Naomi were walking together down the road. Mari put her tiny hand on Rooney's wrist. "Did you forget that you're a real superhero? You've got powers, prayer, patience, and bravery. And best of all, you've got God. There's nothing you and God can't do together." Mari continued, "Tell God what's on your heart. Listen to his voice. He will guide you. Ask him for the strength to do what is right. You've got to love Danny no matter how she's acting." "But why?" "Because a true friend loves at all times." Rudy took a deep breath. She folded her hands and closed her eyes. "God, please, I need your help. Danny hurt my feelings, and all I want to do right now is to leave her alone. I know she must feel so sad and lonely, just like Naomi. Please help me to be like Ruth. Please help me be a true friend, even though Danny is pushing me away. I don't want to face her and the other girls after what happened, but I know you're with me. I know you will never leave me no matter what." Rooney paused. She thought quietly for a few moments. "God, help me to love Danny like you love me." Rooney stood up and poked her head out of the bathroom. She stepped carefully into the hallway, with the angel following close behind. Rooney turned the corner. Danny, Callie, and Maddie were standing with a few other girls outside their classroom. "I don't know what I can do, if I can even do this." Mari squeezed her shoulder. "Remember, God is with you. He will help you." See there, just outside the bathroom doors in the hallway. "How can I tell if now is the right time?" Mari leaned in and smiled. "It's really never the wrong time to do the right thing," she whispered. Rooney looked at her, then back at the group of the girls. "God, please move my feet," she thought. "Danny," Rooney's voice shook. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" The girls looked at Rooney, and then they giggled. Rooney's heart sank. Danny shrugged. "I don't really have anything to talk to you about right now." Rooney's face felt red hot. "It'll just take a minute," she said gently. "I guess my mom's on her way to pick me up, so It'll have to be quick. Rooney nodded. The two girls walked across the hallway and sat down together on a bench. Rooney folded her hands in her lap. I know you're angry about what's happening with your mom and dad. I know that you're hurting, and I'm so sorry you have to go through this. She turned toward Danny. I want you to know that I love you and I am your friend, even if you don't want to be mine right now. I will always be here for you, no matter what. What happened earlier doesn't matter to me. Rooney leaned in. I love you, and when you need me, I will be here for you. Danny didn't say anything. She got up and stood there for a few seconds. Then she grabbed her backpack and walked away. Rooney sat on the bench for a few minutes thinking. Then she walked back to where Mari was hoovering over her head, hanging low. I did it. She didn't look up. I know you're disappointed that this didn't go the way you were hoping, but you did it. A tear fell down Rooney's cheek as she watched Danny get into her mom's car. She turned back to Mari. I just want my friend back. Mari spun her hands in the air, and a bright shining bell appeared. Rooney looked up as it floated into the air. Rooney, this is the bell of loyalty. Like Ruth, you have the power to put the needs of others ahead of your own. Ruth knew that Naomi was in pain and needed someone to love her. Ruth stayed with her even though it meant leaving her home. Even when Naomi was pushing her away, Ruth chose to stay. That's exactly how God loves each one of his children. Rooney nodded as the angel continued. God will never leave you. That is the real power, to love others faithfully the way he loves you. Rooney opened her hand as the golden bell floated down. It landed softly in her palm. She picked it up and looped it onto her bracelet. I want Danny to be my friend again. I just want things to be okay. I want Danny to be my friend. I just want things to be okay. Life isn't a fairy tale. Rooney, sometimes you don't get your happily ever after, but God does a very special plan for you. You are becoming the beautiful hero that he created you to be. Rooney smiled a little. Thanks, Mari. I gotta go. My mom will be here soon to pick me up. Rooney walked out to the school parking lot. She waited on the curb. Rooney looked down at the 4 shimmering bells that dangled from her wrist. She touched each letter with her finger. Hannah, she whispered to herself. Esper, Abigail, Ruth. Esther, Abigail, Ruth. She stopped. Her heart began to pound. H-E-A-R. Here. Rooney's eyes widened. She stared at her bracelet. Then she prayed. God, what are you trying to tell me? What do you want me to hear? I'm listening. I know something special is happening to me. I can feel it. I'm changing. I don't understand it right now, but I know it's from you. She looked up in the sky and grinned. From that moment, she knew her life would never be the same. A friend loves at all times. Proverbs 17:17. Thank you for listening to this story of Ruth. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day. God bless.